Good evening, traders and investors. It's Will back with another one. Well, today we had a bit of a muted day after a big day yesterday. So we're going to look at some charts here today on especially the big tech names. Are the weekly consolidations done with, or is this just a little retracement to the upside before further downside? So we're going to take a look at that, guys. And also towards the end of the video, I will show you an update on my trades that we took on Monday. Doing very, very well this week, considering the fact that SPY is just pretty much neutral this entire week. So fairly good week to start it off here. So without further ado, guys, let's get into the indexes and our major tech names, right? So SPY on the day with a bit of a, very, very neutral day. QQQ as well, only up 0.2%. Just before we get into that, we're going to look at the heat map today. And it was some pretty muted action. So we had a couple names up, a lot of names down, but for the most part, we were kind of flat on the day, right? So our major tech names did a very good job holding up. The bulls playing a good job at defense here, especially on Tesla, which was one of my favorite charts of the week. Healthcare and financials kind of tapering off a bit, losing a bit of steam here towards the midweek. But I think that they are still in a decent position here to provide some necessary rotation if QQQ does continue to sell off. So if you look at our 1 day and 1 week relative performance, it kind of looks the same, right? The market is kind of divided by two. So we have pretty much half the sectors up, half the sectors down, which does provide us with some good rotation, guys. This is the market that I really like to see, a healthy market that does have some decent rotation and it's not lopsided all to one side, namely tech, right? So love to see this. On SPY, what are we looking for here? Well, in our previous video here, we were looking to the fact that this is very much a potential daily downtrend, right? Formation. So that's what the bulls kind of want to avoid. The higher that they can pull up here into this down move, the more likely the scenario becomes a tightening range, right? If they stop the move right now, it's kind of not high enough of a move to promote further downside action, right? And a tool that you really like to use in these occasions is the Fibonacci retracements. It lets you know how much of the move have the bulls taken back already. And if we zoom in here, we can see that today we touched the 50 fib, meaning that the bulls were able to take back 50% of the downward move. That is usually a healthy sign. So if we do get a green day tomorrow or potentially into Friday, it could be a very good indication that the bulls are indeed potentially setting up for either a tightening range or even better, potentially setting up for a daily trend reversal to the upside. So I think that tomorrow and Friday are really going to be key, guys, to let us know whether or not we have a good chance of moving lower or whether or not the bulls are ready to play defense, really defend this 12 EMA right here, and potentially consolidate and move to the upside. QQQs also putting in a very, very good day in terms of defense. If we do the same thing, take it from the top to the bottom here, you'll see that we did still pull up here over 50%. We actually touched the 618, which is people's preferred levels when they look at Fibonacci's here. If it goes over 50%, guys, the likelihood that the bulls regain the control is quite high. So I'm fairly optimistic here in QQQ's ability to generate a daily higher low and potentially kick it higher, right? With names like Apple and Microsoft refusing to lose their daily trends, it really potentially promotes here a move higher. I would not be surprised in that at all. I know that we were potentially forecasting for some further downside, but the bulls were able to reverse that in a very big way yesterday and today. They really rejected this loss of the 12 EMA and regained it back almost immediately. The time frame that I'm looking out for here, guys, is the 4 hour, right? If they're able to reverse the 4 hour time frame tomorrow, it'll be a good indication on QQQ and SPY, right? If we're able to do that, I have a I think it's a good hint that we may be due for some further upside. So a bit of a choppy market. However, this is the bulls playing defense. This is what you want to see. And if they do start breaking higher in that fashion off the 4 hour, it wouldn't be surprising. I wouldn't be surprising, guys, if your weekly higher low is already set. I know it hasn't been that long, but this is potentially the shaping up of a weekly higher low on SPY and QQQ. Personally, I would have liked to see it pull back a bit further, allow for a bit more consolidation, especially in our larger tech names. But if this is all we can get, guys, it just goes to show you the resilience of this market and the amount of money on the sidelines that's ready to buy the dip, the amount of money that's been kind of timid over the past year in 2022. Now they are deploying the large amounts of capital, right? And if we see on the daily timeframes here, we're no longer overbought on QQQ or SPY, right? On a relative strength basis. On the weekly, SPY, not overbought, never actually got overbought. QQQ, still slightly overbought. That's why I wanted to see a bit more of a deeper pullback on big tech. But if we don't get it, we don't get it. We know that this thing, don't get it twisted, guys. They can stay overbought for an extended period of time, right? It doesn't need to pop out and reject right away. Like, look how long these things can stay extended in bull markets, 2017, 2018, right? So just look out for that. And I'm going to be taking this day by day, which is why I love the strategy that I run on this channel, guy, the options wheel, right? Writing puts, potentially getting assigned, and then writing calls on the flip side, because in a either flat or slightly bullish or trending bullish market, the strategy performs very, very well. It takes a lot of guessing off the table, and you pretty much just let the bulls do the work, let the rotation do the work. Financials, looking at financials, they're holding up fairly well. As we were talking about at the beginning of this week and in the end of last week, we did lose our 33.5 breakout zone here, so it's now still resistance. What you need to absolutely see is you need to see the bulls hold the weekly uptrend. They need to hold the higher low, guys. Compared to this area here, 31.5, you need to see the bulls kind of play defense in this area here and start reversing. What I want to see here personally is a break above yesterday's high. Need to see a break above 33 for me to be comfortable in the fact that this daily low zone is potentially set, which would set up for our weekly higher low compared to this potentially being set as well. It's very good that we kind of have a lot of good support down here. The 200 weekly moving average is our main support in this area here. So very, very good that the bulls are playing defense even before we get to that. So financials absolutely need to see a break of yesterday's high, 33, if we want to start to push higher back to our resistance area. Obviously, I will be happiest if we can make the breakout happen. This breakout would be exactly like the one that happened on our IWM sector, right? Our small caps. And as you can see, small caps are recovering quite nicely. So I'm looking at XLF financials to do that. I do feel that they're lagging behind. And once again, my favorite name in the space, Charles Schwab, today pretty much cementing the fact that I do believe that the weekly higher low on Charles Schwab may potentially be set. So looking good for some upside at this point. I will not be nervous to write any puts in the 52.50 area or below running in the next few weeks, because I do believe that this stock does have some mean reversion potential into these moving average ups here. We're talking about the higher 50 levels into the $60 range. So could represent some very, very decent upside from here, guys, about 10% worth, right? So looking forward to seeing that. XLV Healthcare, very, very, very tight, right? Extremely tight over the last 3 weeks. We're not giving back much. This price action here with these doji candles leads me to believe that the bulls definitely want to play defense around the 130 zone, which is perfect. What are we expecting? We really want to see a weekly breakout confirmed. So what do we need to do for that? In my opinion, need to break the 133 level. So all the pressure is going to be on the bulls at this point. They've played some great defense, but you need to see them push higher and really cement this weekly uptrend. They've been doing a great job so far of setting the weekly higher low. Now they've tightened it up, right? Becoming a weekly tightening range. And you need to see the breakout to really confirm this weekly uptrend here. We could really use some good performance from healthcare, because as you see over the last 3 weeks, it's been very, very muted. Most of the heavy lifting has been done by QQQ, by XLF pretty much over the last couple of days, right? While XLV has stayed really flat over the last 3-4 days. So we really need to see some performance coming from healthcare soon There's a lot of names that I'm expecting to do some good things. Johnson & Johnson, as you can see, looking for that higher low here on the weekly time frame, right? We also have big names that have sold off a lot that are looking to reverse their weekly trends, right? So we need to see participation from healthcare doing a very good job here of recapturing some gains. Let me just go through a couple ones that come to mind. CRL still down significantly, right, from its all-time high as well. Need to start seeing some participation from them. Need to start seeing some participation from Abbott Labs, which as well have been kind of muted in this tightening range here for a better part of the last 9 months. It's been a long time. So we need to start to see some participation from some of our larger players in the healthcare area. AbbVie, one of the crowd favorites in the healthcare sector, has not been able to perform, guys. Look, it's been about 10 12 weeks of pretty much downside, so we are needing to reverse a lot of these time frames. AbbVie is actually one of my favorite names in the space right now to be targeting. If this continues for some reason to drop any more, I'll be very interested in writing some puts in the 125 area. I absolutely love this stock, pays a solid dividend. It has ever-growing revenues, very decent margins for a healthcare company, right? And if you look at the trend long-term, guys, this is a stock that usually does not disappoint. It does not stay under its long-term moving averages for a long time. If you look at the weekly 200 MA that it's coming up pretty much upon, right, you can see that when it does go below, it tends to snap back, right, in the next pretty much month and a bit. So as closer we get to this area around 125, the more interested that I get, because if we do get down there, guys, keep in mind that that will represent a roughly 30% off the all-time highs for this company. I think it's a very good position to be had. Now jumping into the Russell here. So the Russell, very good price action. Let's zoom in here. As we can see, the weekly trend has been consolidated, right? And when we were pulling back last week, guys, for those of you who've been watching the channel, what were we saying? Look for the confluence with the moving averages. So the yellow one, the 12 EMA, the orange, the 26, and the green one, if you guys can't see, it's right around here, the 200 weekly moving average, plus our purple line, which represents our horizontal support. A lot of confluence, guys, a lot of confluence. It would have really surprised me if the bears were able to smash through all that in one clean shot. So as you can see, they got rejected hard. Bulls are now pushing up, and what I need to see at this point, you need to start pushing higher and give me a break of 189. If you give me a break of 189, I will be very bullish at that point that we're going to be attacking the higher end of this range up here, all the way up from $190 to $200, right? Absolutely need to break this here in the next 2 weeks, in my opinion. The small cap sector has been underperforming the relative markets. They're still 25% off the all-time highs, even though SPY and QQQ are only about 8 or 9% off their all-time highs. This one has been a net underperformer. So really need to see the bulls come back in here in a strong fashion. I do believe that there's enough rotation in these markets, guys, that there's enough money on the sidelines, enough rotation, that it's just a matter of time before the risk on assets, these small caps, become a more favorable play for large institutions looking to deploy capital and diversify. Dow Jones doing the value names doing a really good job of holding off this recent bear move, right? So if you look top to bottom, this recent bear move was about a 3% downturn, and we've now cut it short here. The pattern, in my opinion, the inverse head and shoulders, is still alive and well. What I would need to see, though, is in the next 2 weeks, I'll give it 2 more weeks and not much more downside. If we really break to the downside here, in my opinion, the pattern is lost. We'll just be in a range at that point, a very ugly range. But if we're able to now push higher back towards our 34.5 area, which is what I've been calling the neckline, right? Need to see it in the next 2 weeks. A lot of value names, right, have been kind of muted, kind of sidelined for a better part of the Q1 into Q2 season now, so approximately the past 3-4 months. They haven't been getting a lot of love, so really looking to see that turnaround with big names entering breakout zones. A few of the ones that I can think of right off the top of my head, Costco, right? You guys know Costco, one of my favorite retailers for the moment, right? So they have now broken their accumulation zone to the upside. Absolutely love to see it. I'm a long-term Costo holder. I find it's one of the best value plays that you can possibly have. So they're doing a great job. Let's run through a few of the value names here, right? John Deere doing a good job over the last 4 or 5 weeks of recovering a lot of the downturn that they've been having over the course of 2023. Let's look at Caterpillar. Caterpillar as well, having a really, really good past couple weeks, right? 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. Nike has earnings tomorrow. Watch out for this one, guys. Watch out for Nike. I said that this was a very nice area that I was looking to buy in. I actually was able to average into from about 110 all the way through 105. And then last week, or about 2 weeks ago, rather, 2 Fridays ago, was able to liquidate the position right here on the close about 113.5. So made a decent amount of money playing Nike. It's still in the target zone here. However, I'm waiting for earnings tomorrow. If for some reason we drop off of earnings tomorrow into my buy zone, I will be looking to accumulate some shares, writing some options as close as possible to that $100 level. That's really what I'm looking for. Estee Lauder, one of the larger players, right, doing a good job of recovering off the lows, but still unable to set the weekly higher low yet. Still waiting for it, guys. Where is it going to be? As soon as I see that shaping up here, I'm going to get very, very, very interested, right? As soon as we can crack this 204 level, I will be writing options under or around the 190 area for some good premium, but I need to see that reversal pattern shape up, right? So a lot of value names, guys, a lot of good value names still decently off the all-time highs. As you can see, right? A lot of other value names are close to their all-time highs, like Pepsi, Coca-Cola. If you look at other Dow Jones names like Visa relatively close to its all-time high, right? My favorite credit card processor, American Express, I feel it represents, has the best upside still, has a really nice pattern. It's one that I've been looking for, but haven't been able to generate much premium on it in the past few weeks. But this is a very good zone. Low 160s, right? I'm looking for the weekly higher low. So that's just a few of the value names that we've been going over for the Dow Jones. Need to start to see some broad movement on the Dow Jones names. Now, Bitcoin doing a good job of just holding on. I painted this little green support area, and so far it's been doing a good job of holding it. The 12 EMA has now caught up to the price action. So in my opinion, as long as we hold this area here between 30,000 and 29.5, I feel that the bulls are going to be in a good shape to just make this an actual daily bull flag and grind higher, right? So that's what we're looking for. Weekly chart is looking very, very good, right? Still have some good momentum to the upside, although this week we haven't really done much. Still a lot of the time left in the week. Keep in mind the Bitcoin charts do close on Sunday and not on Friday. So still a decent amount of time for the bulls to make a move. But for now, we're just kind of making a bull flag. I really need to see a break of 31.5 to really confirm that the weekly trend is going to continue pushing higher without retracement. If obviously we lose this, we'll be going into weekly consolidation. Obviously, if you're a bull, you want to see more than 1 week of worth of a push before weekly consolidation. But if it doesn't, what can you do, right? You really need to follow the price action. But for now, healthy bull flag in terms of setting up for a breakout, in my opinion. So good job on crypto for holding up that. Apple, monster, pushing all-time highs consistently. You will not get a QQQ massive sell-off without big names like Apple and Microsoft losing their all-time high pushes, right? You just will not get it. Names like Apple, Microsoft, Meta, NVIDIA, if they don't start dropping significantly day after day after day and losing their daily uptrend patterns, right? You will not get a massive sell-off. So what can I say about Apple? The all-time highs are set once again. Perfect daily uptrend chart, grinding this 12 EMA, have never lost it over the past couple of days of sell-off, past couple of weeks of sell-off, never lost the 12 EMA. Monster of a stock, super defensive. Even though it's a growth name, people tend to use it. Large institutions tend to use this one as a safe haven play, believe it or not. So at this point, anything above 185, right? 185 is just going to be another daily higher low potential. So that's what we're looking out for. Congratulations to the bulls on that. Not much to say. All-time highs, right? Amazon, even though Amazon was looking like it's curling, it does not want to give up. Look at this. Curling, right? Failing to really push newer highs, by much, but it's still grinding higher. This is very impressive. Candle formation up here doesn't leave me too bullish, leads me to believe that we could potentially get somewhat of a sell-off, but until bears prove something to me, guys, it's very tough for me to be anything but bullish on this chart. Yes, we're kind of rounding the corner here, right? But the bears are not capitalizing on anything that the bulls give them. The best they can do is slow the move to the upside, but they're never taking control, never taking initiative to the downside. And that's not what you want to see if you're expecting weekly pullbacks on big names like this, right? So grinding the lows, like look, every single week now for about 8 weeks, the lows are higher every single week. So until that stops, guys, we really can't look for weekly consolidation on a name like Amazon. I was expecting it to happen with Monday's move. Monday's move was good. It could have propulsed us down to the lows here. But at this point, once again, now we're looking for pretty much, in my opinion, right, since we're kind of ranging up here, we're still trying to just set the lows above 124-ish. So 124 is the line in the sand level for me on Amazon. If you don't break it in a significant fashion, I cannot start calling for further weekly consolidation towards our moving averages here. So great job by Amazon. Levels to the upside to be watching. Definitely 135 area. Okay, 135 is going to be key for me to be watching. The RSI, yes, it's tiny bit overbought, not too big of a deal in my opinion. Daily RSI, they've been doing a good job of having all this alteration, right? So that the daily RSI has never been allowed to really get away from us. So what level to watch for me, guys? Definitely 124 to the downside, and to the upside, I need to see a close above 131.40 to potentially give us some more propulsion to the upside. So it's really these two levels, 124 and 131.65 or 131.50-ish, really looking for a close above or below any of those levels to really give us some further sense of direction. Let's look into AMD because I am playing this one. AMD doing a good job here of holding off this zone. We've now filled this gap all the way down pretty much to 108. Bull's doing a great job, right? If you look at this on a sell-off basis, this is a very nice pullback, guys, from top to bottom. 18, almost 19%. Very attractive sell-off in my opinion, which is why I was writing options in this green box. Started off the week with the 103s. They're now worthless. We closed them out today, and I got a bit greedy on it. I went for the 107s early morning today, so I was able to get some decent premium on it. I waited a bit too long, in my opinion, waited for it to come back almost into the 109s to be sure, but they did a good job of holding it off, so I did write the 107s for Friday. Really looking on the 4-hour chart, we're going to see if our 4-hour bulls can confirm a 4-hour uptrend at this point. But the level for me to keep watching on AMD here is really this green box, anywhere between 104.50 and 98.50, right? Really good area. Strong support zone for writing options, so really like it. At this point, what are we looking for, guys? We're just looking for your weekly higher low. So it's potentially being set right now as the bulls play defense into the lower area here, but this is looking very bullish on the longer term weekly time frame, right? Really like this chart a lot. Google also doing a very good job of playing defense, guys. Look at these candles. Look at these doji candles. The bulls are playing phenomenal defense on all of these names, right? So we had a bear break of our range, and look at this today, guys. We shot right back into it, right? It's like a magnet. This whole area is like a magnet. I've been saying it for weeks. It's going to be very hard for the bears to break through this previous area. Look, to break through this whole area of chop, we needed two massive candles, 11% week followed by a almost 5% week from bottom to top, right? So this was massive price movement here. We're not going to get it done if the bears try to grind through it, in my opinion. We really need some large moves to the downside. We just have not been getting them. So on the weekly, we've tagged our 12 EMA at this point on Google. Bull's doing a great job of playing defense off that, and we now shoot back into our support area here. So really good job on the term by the bulls here. Daily downtrend, however. So now we're going to be looking, can the bulls put in more of a move tomorrow and Friday so that the next little drawdown here becomes a daily higher low, and we now reverse the daily trend to the upside. Google has been one of my plays. We're still in it. The play is almost worthless, meaning that we've almost captured all of our profit. we had written the 117. So the 117s with today's price action for Friday are now almost worthless. So very, very nice. I was looking to write Google. We wrote it exactly in the area that we were telling you guys, right? 116 all the way down to 111 was the target zone here. The more optimal zone for the load the boat zone is really down here, but off of a first entry, really wanted to target these between these moving averages right here. We got it, guys. Great job. Now, the weekly higher low, in my opinion, if we do continue to get some bullish price action tomorrow into Friday, the weekly higher low is most likely going to be set at this point. We always knew that the bulls were in full control of the weekly time frame. It was just a matter of time before you set that higher low for further upside. So if we do maintain a good candle like this, I'm going to be looking for in the next couple of weeks us to come back up and start pushing back into the high 129s, 130s for our next leg up of bullish action. Microsoft, again, doing a great job at playing defense, guys. Lose the 12 EMA and bulls recapture it right away. Like lose a 12 EMA, recapture, right? Every single time, guys. Lose it, earnings pop. Okay, if you want to discount that one, I'll give it to you, you know what I mean? But pretty much since March, right? Since the banking crisis, it's just been a grind of this 12 EMA, guys. Like look at this. It's just textbook at this point, right? So Microsoft was in a bit of a daily downtrend here, but now they're doing a good job, right? They're doing a really good job of coming back up, almost coming back up to the level that we broke down from here, coming up, which is going to set them up beautifully if they do want to reverse it to the upside and set a new daily uptrend. So these things are very important, guys. What we were looking for, we're in a weekly uptrend, but we were in a daily downtrend, right? Which is most important? The weekly. If you know that all you're expecting is a weekly higher low, at that point, it was anything above 307, right? If you're expecting a weekly higher low, right, then you know it's just a matter of time before the bears potentially get exhausted. So the daily downtrend, you know, it takes a lot for this to translate into a potential weekly downtrend. So if you know that the bulls are in control of the higher time frame and you're only expecting a weekly higher low somewhere around potentially your moving average, then you really can't start to get ambitious when you're on the bear side, right? It's just normal. At any point, those longer term bulls can step in and pretty much smack you on the face and say, nope, that's all you guys are going to get. We're taking back over and we're potentially going to set a new weekly higher low, right? Weekly higher low for potential further upside. So Microsoft bulls doing a great job of playing defense. At this point, your levels of resistance are going to be still the all-time high, right? 350 area, give or take a couple dollars, 350 area. And in my opinion, guys, the line in the sand level that the bulls cannot lose at this point, right, is going to be your 323. 323 is very, very, very important for me because if we lose this area, it'll be a loss of a decent support zone, but also you'll now be working against your moving averages. But what have they done in all this chop area here? Cooled off the moving averages here on the daily, and we've cooled them off on the weekly as well. So now they've created more space to continue to grind higher, right? So can't be anything but bullish on Microsoft. I'm not personally buying up here. I would personally like to be writing options more around the 320 area, but we would need some further pullback if I were ever to get those premium capacities. But at this point, guys, it's just kind of running away from us, right? The Meta, same thing, kind of just running away, right? So Meta, what we were trying to see here with Monday's price action, we were trying to see, are the bears going to successfully finally break the 12 EMA? This is like Microsoft, right? Other than earnings, same thing as Microsoft. Other than earnings, we have never lost the 12 EMA. As soon as we lose it, we pop higher, right? Lose it, kind of hover near it, pop higher. Like look at this entire move from the bottom. 12 EMA grind. Just an absolute grind. Every time we lose it, we just pop right back up. Here we challenge it again in a very hard fashion. The bears can't even get 2 days in a row, guys. Not even 2 days in a row. It's kind of sad at this point, right? How little follow through they're actually getting on these moves, the bears. But they need to show us something, guys, right? They lose it on the 4 hour and then they do nothing to follow through on the following day. Very, very frustrating if you're a bear trying to short this, right? But what have I always said on these names? you should never be shorting unless you have a confirmed daily downtrend. You should just not be shorting, guys. The trend is your friend. It's a weekly, all right, it's a monthly, weekly, daily uptrend. So why would you be trying to pick tops? There's no reason for it. Let the market tell you what it wants to do, right? If it finally tells you what it wants to do, then you can do something. You see, oh, finally, it's a daily downtrend. Then when it kind of retests off this daily downtrend area, right? You can put the stop here, you can enter right here, and you can aim for further downside for some further weekly consolidation. But unless it shows you a pattern like that, there's no reason to be shorting these names. I understand your frustration. I don't personally short, and this is the reason why, but just look out for the patterns, right? Holding it. Levels of resistance, 290. If we do break 290 to the upside, we're going for the full gap fill between 300 and 315. If you don't believe me, guys, it's right here, right? Gap fill, 300 to 315 area is going to be crucial for Meta in terms of breaching this gap, this really big gap that we made after the destruction of last year, right? So really need to start filling that area. They've been doing a good job so far. It is just a grind higher. Meta pretty much anything above 260, just a weekly higher low. So very potential that that's being set already. But if we don't lose this 12 EMA, guys, we're not going anywhere on Meta. NVIDIA doing a good job of playing defense as well, right? So what was this move? This entire move was just basically a weekly higher low trying to be set. So anything above this level 375 was just going to be a weekly higher low. It's potentially being set already, right? So it was never really a daily confirmed downtrend. At this point, we're just kind of looking for a daily higher low, right? So every day, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, right? But they never actually confirmed a pattern. They never confirmed a pattern like this and then down. So we've never confirmed the daily downtrend at this point. We're still looking for a daily higher low. In my opinion, it's going to get dicey here. 402 is going to be your level that you're really looking at here. The bulls really need to hold this level for the rest of the end of the week if they want to protect, right? If they want to protect this potential uptrend, because the more that they give back, the more likely the scenario becomes something like this, right? The more likely then you set up for a daily downtrend. But as of now, everything still looks quite decent. If you want to put the fib retracement on it, you'll see, right? So how much have they taken back? 50%. Only 50% with a spike to almost the 618. But for now, only closes above 50%. So it tells you that the bulls do still have a chance to do something like this, or at least set somewhat of a tightening range into the higher areas. And we all know how those go, right? If they set the tightening range in the higher areas, they always tend to break above, at least in the recent future, NVIDIA, right? Just a very, very bullish sentiment stock. So that is the key for NVIDIA. On the weekly, though, if we do continue to pull back, still a lot of space. Anything above 375-ish is going to be your weekly higher low, right? So weekly bulls are in full control. At this point, we're just looking for the daily higher low, right? So keep that in mind. The longer term bulls are still in control on a lot of these names. Palantir doing a very good job of coming back against this very big, deep retracement here. So as you can see, they've pulled back now 50%, which means the bears are technically still in control, but the more that the bulls are able to chip away at this down move, the likelier the scenario that they can reverse into a further daily uptrend, right? Now, the bears are still in good control to where if we get some red days the next few days, they can come down like this and really set the daily downtrend in motion. But we never set the daily downtrend. All we had is a down swing. The downtrend would be something like this. So the low that needs to hold at this point, 1360. Need to hold that low. What the bulls need to do, they need to set a higher low compared to that and break pretty much today's high, right? Wherever the move up stops, they need to do this, set a higher low, and then set a new daily uptrend, right? That is what you want to see on Palantir. So the line in the sand level, 1360. Watch this 1360 area. Very, very, very important. If we do pull back into this area, I will be looking to write puts in the 13 to 12 area. I think that's a very juicy level. I would not be opposed to having some shares of Palantir in that level. Obviously, guys, I would be very impressed if we V-shaped. It's always a possibility we V-shape, but usually after a 20% down move, you will get at least some form of tightening range or some at least a few more days before we kind of reverse the daily uptrend and it starts to move higher. We'd be very, very surprised if it just V-shapes to the top. But in this market, anything's possible, right? Keep an eye out on that for Palantir though. Tesla bulls doing a very good job once again of playing defense, 12 EMA defense. That's been kind of the motto of the video, right? Ever since we lifted off from 165, you can see we never lost the 12 EMA, guys. I love the 12 EMA. You guys are going to hear me say it all the time. Love, love, love this indicator. It's one of my most used. Look, daily RSI now is fine. Weekly RSI is fine. Bulls, a lot of space. What have bulls been looking for? The bulls have been looking to set the weekly higher low, right? It is a monthly uptrend confirmed. So you know the bulls are in control of the monthly. We were looking for a weekly higher low. Has it been set? Well, we need to finish off the week, right? We need to see, are the bulls able to hold at this point? 240 is the line in the sand. If we lose 240, it's a daily downtrend into further weekly consolidation, right? But if we maintain 240 and get as much of this move back possible, you set yourself up for a recapture of the daily uptrend. So bulls doing a very, very, very good job of that. Line in the sand level for me, definitely this 240 low is crucial to know whether or not we break down into further weekly consolidation or not, right? So very, very good. If it does start to come back lower, I will be writing more puts because I wrote a lot in this area this week. Very happy. I was able to close out my 230 today, as a matter of fact. We did write a bit higher as well. We kind of got cheeky with it. We're going for the remainder of the week premium. So I had a very, very good week on Tesla so far. Can't complain at all. So I'll show you guys that in just a few moments. And lastly, PayPal. Taking a look at PayPal. What are we looking for? The daily higher low, guys. Can they give it to us? The bulls playing good defense. You can see the bears are struggling to put in any big days. Really, really trying to hold these moving averages here. Need to hold above 62.66 at this point, right? 62.50. This whole area here, we're still looking for the daily higher low. So as soon as the bulls come back, we'll be able to say confidently that this is going to be the higher low, but we need to see, right? It's just been lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high every day. Until that cycle breaks, we can't say that the daily higher low is set, right? So that's what I'm looking for on PayPal at this time. Obviously, larger time frame. What are we looking for? We are looking for this weekly move to keep going as high as possible into these guys to really set up the motion for a weekly uptrend at this point, guys. Really would like to see that on PayPal. And finally, last but not least, we're going to go over the plays. Should I move over here a little bit? No, I'll just move it down as it goes, right? So as you can see, guys, on the week, AMD was actually worthless. This one was written, as you can see, it was for about, I think in the 55 cent range that we wrote on Monday. Well, they're now absolutely worthless. So we were able to close that at 90% profit today. Tesla as well, we wrote that in about the $1.55, $1.56 range. That one was also worthless. We closed it at 15 cents today. 90% profit locked in on the day again. What did we do? We kind of went up and wrote the 247.5s on Tesla. So I'll show you where that is. Wrote the 247.5s, which is roughly, very, very decent level in my opinion for the remainder of the week. Would be quite surprised if I do get assigned 147.5 here after a move like today. It would basically mean that we'd have to lose today's move, which doesn't seem very likely, guys, on the lower time frames. I could always be wrong, but that's why I personally wrote them there. So we have a bit more premium going for the Tesla puts here for the rest of the week. Obviously, PayPal calls, absolutely worthless because it's not close to 70. So I'll probably be closing those tomorrow or just let them expire, pretty much worthless. Google 117s, as you can see, we wrote them for 55 cents on Monday. They're now only worth 8 cents. So almost 90% profit again. Have the take profit position at 5 cents set. So that'll probably be hit tomorrow. I don't believe Google will close below 117 this week. So that's another W in the bag. Enphase, as you can see, I do have 100 shares of Enphase assigned here at 162.50, but with an 86 cent credit, our average cost is 161.64. I wrote the calls, gave us an extra $3.14. So my break even now on Enphase is 158.50. So we're doing a good job. in the money, right? So the end phase is now around 161.60, right? Right around there. And so our calls are paying off. We're actually profitable on the position, so can't complain there. Just going to let it ride out pretty much until Friday at this point. On another position that we closed, that pretty much worthless today, but didn't close out, the Rivian. 13 puts, they're almost worthless because Rivian put in a very, very nice move today, right? Moving up over 5% today, now up to about 14.64. So our 13 puts are absolutely worthless. Gonna let those ride out pretty much. So that was a good, good 10 contracts on that. Not a very big position at all, very, very small. I was expecting it to potentially drop more. Open another 5 on it today. Could have got a bit more premium, but did it kind of fairly late in the day on the 14s. I don't think I get assigned at 14 this week. I would be very surprised. I do think it holds above 14, but if it does, really doesn't matter. I got assigned 200 Rivian shares last week, right, at 14 for 14 cents each. As you can see, we did get assigned 200 shares last week. At this point, we're just going to be looking to kind of offload those with the 14 calls. New positions today, AMD 107, so went a bit higher. I'd be very impressed if I do get assigned. AMD now trading around 110. And some BABA. I really actually like BABA in this area around the 83 zone, right? Kind of at the bottom end of this range. You can see the yellow line here. Bottom end of our range here, so would not be surprised if we don't get assigned, but if ever we do, I think it's a very good position. BABA obviously has some room to run into the 90s, so I would not be mad if we do get assigned on those. So those are a bit of updates on our positions for today. So I hope you guys enjoyed the stream for today, guys. And if you did, consider liking the video, consider subscribing, and I'll catch you tomorrow in the next one. Happy trading, and I love you guys. Take care. Peace.